What can be done? Well, again, there are, of course, Muslims who point out that the Prophet, when he was insulted, at least on some occasions, forgave those who insulted him. So how can there be a law now about killing people who insult him, even if they do insult him today? Is it consistent with the tradition? Those who are in favor of the punishment for blasphemy cite the case of the poet Ka'b al-Ashraf, who is supposed to have insulted the Prophet of Islam in poetry and who was ordered to be killed. But again, some Muslim scholars say that Ka'b al-Ashraf's crime was not insulting the Prophet, but actually causing sedition in the Muslim community. Well, it is not for non-Muslims to say what is the case. However, if Muslims want to show the world and themselves that their Prophet forgave those who insulted him, I can't see how at the same time you can then have a law that prescribes the death penalty for those who might be insulting him today. Practically, I mean, in terms of Pakistan and the blasphemy law there, it is quite clear that a bad law will come back again and again to haunt the nation. It has done so again, it will do it again, and there will never be any end to this. And clearly, the way is repeal of a bad law. I was very glad that the government a few years ago referred the Hudud Ordinance, which had prescribed Islamic penal law, to the Council of Islamic Ideology for revision. And it is very instructive to read the report of the Council of Islamic Ideology on the nature, the promulgation, and the use of the Hudud laws, and has recommended their repeal. Partly because they have been abused as far as women are concerned, and particularly women who have been raped. It is absolutely unacceptable that laws claiming to be religious laws should be used in this way against women. Now, it may be that a reference to the Council of Islamic Ideology as far as the blasphemy laws are concerned will also produce a similar assessment. I don't know the answer to that. The present government in Pakistan is in favor of abolishing or at least suspending the death penalty for all serious crime. It is obvious why they are in favor of this, because the founding leader himself was executed. But that may be a way out. If, and I've suggested this to President Zardari himself, that if the death penalty is abolished or suspended for all serious crime, then it will remove one of the grave concerns that we have about the blasphemy law. His response to me about this was that the ulama would say that if he did that for all serious crime, including homicide, then what would happen to qisas, to the lex talionis in Islam, which allows the relatives to seek the death of someone who has killed one of theirs. Well, it's not for me to find a solution, but it seems to me that qisas, at least in Pakistan, is not exercised by the family itself, but by the state. And the state could offer diya, compensation to the relatives as allowed under Sharia, and on the same basis as criminal injuries compensation that we have in Britain. You must have it here also, but reserved to itself what kind of punishment a homicide should attract. But that is another solution. In terms of administrative measures that successive governments have taken to prevent the misuse of the blasphemy law, almost all of them have failed. And they have failed because they have been focused on local officials, on local administrative officials, on local magistrates, because these people can be put under tremendous pressure by the mob. So any administrative measures must be such that they are not susceptible to local influence. One of the suggestions that I have made is that any report to the police about blasphemy should be referred to the Ministry of Law, the Federal Ministry of Law, possibly the provincial, but preferably the Federal Ministry of Law, for investigation and a decision to prosecute or not. The local police can register a report, but they are under tremendous pressure as far as investigation is concerned. So certainly some administrative steps can be taken to prevent misuse, but in the end the problem is we've got a bad law, and that bad law will always haunt the nation. So that's apostasy and blasphemy. Now, to the mindset that has created among people, in the West, we have found again and again a problem in Muslim communities in accepting freedom of expression. The most dramatic instance of this, of course, was Salman Rushdie and the satanic verses. But whenever someone says something with which some Muslims may disagree, the attempt is to shut them up. I mean, I myself had personal experience of this last year. Rather than to enter the public space to debate the issues that are being raised. And I think behind this is the sensitivity that has been created by the laws of apostasy and of blasphemy, which is why they need to be addressed if the mindset is to change. Now, of course, I do believe that we need conventions of civility and of respect in terms of one another's beliefs, there is no need in a civil society for people to be disrespectful even if they disagree. You can disagree with respect. But freedom of speech remains one of the cornerstones of a free society. And whilst Muslims can certainly expect respect, they must be prepared for a critical discussion of things that affect other people and indeed Muslims themselves. The position of women in society is an obvious example that needs to be discussed. And of course Muslims are at the same time free to do this with regard to other people, and they are free to do so. I have been very concerned at some opinion polls in Britain which are suggesting that younger Muslims are likely to have this mindset even more than the older generation. I hope the opinion polls are wrong, but if they're right, then we've got a problem which needs rapidly to be addressed by Muslim leadership in opinion-forming places like Al-Azhar, but also I think it needs action by governments to make clear that they will support freedom of action and of expression without endorsing any incitement to hatred of a particular group or violence against a particular group. in the long debate about the laws concerning incitement to religious hatred in Britain, I think the day was saved by the clause that allows free speech, that the exercise of free speech is not in any way to be seen to be diminished by the laws against the incitement to religious hatred or to violence, which is aggravated by religious hatred. Now, it remains to be seen whether this will be the case. In some cases, the police has been over-enthusiastic. So anything that is said about a particular faith, particularly Islam, has caused the police to warn people about what they're doing and so on. These are dangerous developments. And whilst we want to have respectful discourse, I think we must also have free discourse. So, Nina, I think that's about all I want to say, and I'm very glad, of course, to engage in dialogue now.
Well, thank you very much. That was a very thorough introduction to some of the issues we've been considering. And let's go right to questions. And we'll start with Sheikh.
Okay, there's Sheikh can talk with Thank you, sir. And my name is Sheikh Ahmed Subhi Mansour from Al-Azhar, and I am the founder of the Quranists movement in Egypt and Arab world. The Quranists are the Muslim scholars who
Sheikh Mansour, can you speak up? Speak a little louder, put it closer. Yeah.
I'm the founder of the Quranists, Muslim scholar who believe Islam as a religion of peace, religion of unlimited freedom of speech and belief, and religion of tolerance and justice and human rights. And
put the mic closer to your mouth.
Okay.
Yeah, that's better.
Anyway, as talking about the Redda or the penalty of apostasy, I was the first one in Muslim history who wrote against it. It was in 1986 when I declared that there is no such a penalty in Islam, and I was in a prison in that time after they was fired me from Al-Azhar. Then in 1992, my late friend, Dr. Faraj Foda, was assassinated because me and him, were accused to be apostate, and there was a fatwa against our lives, and he was assassinated. And in the court, Sheikh Muhammad al-Ghazali, he said he is apostate and should be killed by anyone. So I wrote my book. It was the book number 15th in 1993 as a penalty of apostasy, proving that there is no such penalty in Islam, and there is in the Quran more than 1,000 verses in the Quran confirm the unlimited freedom of speech and belief in Islam. Then all these days, you mentioned Sheikh Muhammad Said Tantawi, the Grand Sheikh of Al-Azhar. He was the one who interrogated me in 1985 to 1987, and he gave a fatwa against my life. So after many Muslim intellectuals inside Egypt and in Arab world accept what I said about there is no such penalty of apostasy, he changed his mind, and Ali Joma himself has changed his mind, and they get the celebration from the people, as the official people usually, give. Anyway, what I want to say, asking you, all these 30 years of working in human rights from within Islam, and in working about, in defending the Copts in Egypt, the Christian Copts in Egypt, and all these things, and you do not know my name. You mentioned some people who are, I defend them myself, like Najib Mahfouz and Nasr Hamid Abu Zaid and others. and I was the dearest friend to Najib Mahfouz. And anyway, so my question is,